You've seen them everywhere, from job sites to Baja trails. But not every F-150 moment is built for chaos. Some of Ford's promo footage really leans into the subtle side, like their proud showcase of just how quiet the base engine can be. The Ford F-150 and the Ranger might wear the same badge, but they're built for completely different kinds of drivers. The F-150 is America's heavyweight, big, capable, and endlessly customizable. It dominates in towing, payload, and space, but it also comes with more weight, more size, and often a higher price tag. For drivers who need serious hauling power or just want the biggest thing on the lot, the F-150 delivers without apology. The Ranger, it's leaner, tighter, a midsize pickup that still knows how to throw down when it counts. On trails, back roads, or just weaving through city traffic, it might not match the F-150 on raw numbers, but not everyone needs a full-size truck to get the job done. The Ranger proves you don't need massive proportions to feel in control, just the right balance of size and guts. Then there's the wild card, Ford's Raptor lineup. Both trucks now come in wide-body, high-speed, off-road tuned variants, and they're not just visual packages. The F-150 Raptor is a desert storming animal, the Ranger Raptor more agile, just as serious, and finally available in the US. We've watched how these trucks perform in the wild, through tight trails, desert heat, city traffic, and real towing jobs. It's not about horsepower bragging rights. It's about the kind of muscle that matters, built for dirt, for punishment, for momentum. These trucks don't hesitate, built different, but every one of them was made to be pushed. Whether it's hauling steel, crawling rocks, or flying over desert ridgelines, these trucks weren't designed to play it safe. They were engineered to get dirty, take hits, and come back asking for more. The Ford F-150 doesn't need to explain itself. It's the default truck in America, not because it's flashy or loud, but because it works. For contractors, weekend warriors, overlanders, and road trippers, it checks all the boxes without blinking. But what's easy to overlook is how much this thing has evolved. The 2024 F-150 isn't just a slightly newer version of the truck your uncle drove. It's smarter, smoother, and somehow quieter. At the core is Ford's 2.7-liter EcoBoost Vi6. On paper, that might not turn heads, but in real life, it's got torque where it counts and acceleration that surprises people coming from V8s. It's responsive, balanced, and efficient without feeling watered down. And if you want more, Ford's got you covered. The naturally aspirated 5.0-liter V8 brings the old-school muscle, while the 3.5-liter EcoBoost ups the ante for serious tow ratings. And then there's the wild card, the Power Boost Hybrid. This thing isn't some fuel-saving gimmick. It's a real workhorse, capable of towing over 12,000 pounds while still squeezing out noticeable gains in fuel economy. Add in the onboard generator, and suddenly you're running tools or camping gear straight off your truck without touching a gas can. But capability alone doesn't explain why people love this thing. It's how the F-150 drives. Despite its size, it doesn't wallow or lurch. The ride is firm but controlled. The steering feels confident. You can drive it daily without constantly reminding yourself you're in a full-size truck. That applies inside too. Even in the lower trims like XL and XLT, the cabin is far from bare bones. Materials are better, the layout makes sense, and the tech doesn't feel like an afterthought. Once you move up into Lariat, King Ranch, or Platinum territory, you're talking real comfort. Leather, wood grain, massage seats, 12-inch displays, and enough cameras to make trailering feel like a video game. It's not perfect. Parking it in older lots or dealing with tight city streets can be a hassle. Fuel economy in the V8 trim still isn't great, and if you don't actually need this much truck, it can start to feel like you're overcommitted to a machine that's always ready to do more than you're asking of it. But that's kind of the point. The F-150 doesn't play coy about what it is. It's big, bold, and built to be used hard. Whether you're loading it up with tools, towing a camper, or just driving home from work with groceries in the bed, it feels solid, overbuilt, and unapologetically capable. There are fancier interiors out there. There are more luxurious rides. But if what you want is a truck that earns its name every time you turn the key, this is it. The regular F-150 is already overkill for most people. But the Raptor? That's a different animal. This isn't just a lifted trim with flashy badging. It's a wide-body, long-travel, desert-ready machine that borrows more from trophy trucks than daily drivers. The Raptor isn't built to tow more or carry more. It's built to move fast, soak up punishment, and keep you laughing while the suspension does things no stock truck should. Under the hood, the standard Raptor gets a 3.5-liter twin-turbo EcoBoost VR6. And no, it's not the same engine from the base truck. This version makes over 400 horsepower and throws down torque early. It's sharp, responsive, and tuned for speed, not slow grunt. If you want absurd, there's the Raptor R, a supercharged V8 monster pushing over 700 horsepower, aimed directly at the Ram TRX. But engine aside, the real magic is in the suspension. Box Live valve shocks, 5-link coil spring rear, massive ground clearance, and a chassis that just wants to stay in motion. It eats up washboard trails, jumps without drama, and never feels out of control, even when it's off the ground. Inside, the Raptor gets the premium treatment: aggressive bolstered seats, paddle shifters, customizable drive modes, off-road telemetry, and a cabin that's equal parts race truck and luxury SUV. It's loud, bold, and not even pretending to blend in. But here's the thing. For all the noise the Raptor makes on paper, it's weirdly composed in motion. This truck is engineered, not just modified, to handle chaos without broadcasting it from every corner. And that brings us to a moment Ford clearly wanted you to notice. This is a clip Ford wanted people to see and put in their official B-roll. Just the engine, under load, and it barely makes a sound. That's not idle, that's the truck actually working. And it still sounds like a Prius in work boots. Ford didn't bury this, they highlighted it. Quiet matters, especially when you're hauling, commuting, or trying to enjoy a truck that doesn't scream every time you touch the pedal. Not everyone needs a full-size truck, and Ford knows it. The Ranger isn't trying to outhaul the F-150. It's built for people who want real truck capability without dragging around 19 feet of steel everywhere they go. It still rides on a ladder frame. It still sends power to the rear wheels first. And it still feels planted on rough trails or gravel roads, just without the full-size footprint. That's what gives the Ranger its edge. It doesn't pretend to be something bigger than it is. It just fits, and that alone makes it more usable than people expect. Under the hood, there's only one engine, a 2.3-liter EcoBoost inline 4, but it's no compromise. With 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, it moves the Ranger with real urgency. The lighter frame helps, but more importantly, the power hits early. You're not waiting for it to wake up, it just pulls. Paired with a 10-speed automatic, it stays in the power band and doesn't waste time hunting for gears. It's smooth enough in town, sharp when loaded, and doesn't make the truck feel like it's working harder than it needs to. You're not towing toy haulers or stacking pallets to the sky. No, but that's not the point. The Ranger can handle 7,500 pounds of towing and nearly 1,800 pounds of payload. For campers, boats, tools, gear, it does the job, quietly, confidently, and without trying to oversell it. The ride is stiffer than the F-150, but it's predictable. You feel the road and the frame, and off-road. That's a good thing. It's solid without being harsh and tight without feeling twitchy. Inside, base trims still lean practical. Nothing fancy, just what you need. But step up to the XLT or Lariat and the cabin feels modern. Bigger screen, better materials, cleaner layout. It's not luxurious, but it's far from stripped down. Off-road packages like FX4 and Tremor are where the Ranger shows its teeth. You get real upgrades: locking rear diff, steel skid plates, trail control, and retuned suspension. These aren't decals, they're tools, and they turn the Ranger into something that can handle real terrain. It also helps that the Ranger still feels like a truck when you drive it. The seating position is upright, the body feels composed, and you don't get that soft crossover feedback you see in smaller pickups. It's tight, but it doesn't feel watered down. Fuel economy is a quiet win. No hybrid tricks, just less mass and more efficiency. In mixed driving, it sips fuel compared to anything full size, and you notice it over time. The Ranger doesn't shout, it doesn't have to, it just works. Hauling gear, climbing grades, squeezing into parking spaces, and doing all the things full-size trucks do, minus the bloat. It's a real truck, just scaled for people who don't need to prove anything. The Ranger Raptor doesn't just borrow the badge, it earns it. This isn't a cosmetic trim with big tires and flashy decals. It's a purpose-built off-road machine, tuned from the ground up for speed, punishment, and terrain. Under the hood is a 3.0-liter twin-turbo EcoBoost V6, making 405 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. It's the most power ever offered in a Ranger, and it's not just fast in a straight line. Throttle response is sharp, the torque hits early, and the 10-speed auto is tuned to keep you in the meat of the power no matter where you're driving. But the real story is in the suspension. Fox 2.5-inch live valve shocks, long travel geometry, a coil-sprung rear axle, wider stance, tuned bump stops. It's all there, and it works. This thing is built to stay in motion, to soak up hits, and to keep the chassis level while the terrain does its worst. Baja mode doesn't just soften throttle input, it changes the truck's entire personality. Add in a locking rear diff, terrain management modes, and real steel skid plates, and this thing doesn't just play in the dirt, it invites it. It's tighter and lighter than the F-150 Raptor, which means you can hit tighter trails and narrower fire roads without dragging 6,000 pounds of full-size steel over every rock. The Ranger Raptor feels surgical compared to the brute force approach of its bigger sibling. Inside, it's still a Ranger, but with extra edge, bolstered seats, paddle shifters, red accents, and Raptor badging everywhere. Nothing too wild, but enough to remind you it's not the base truck. On pavement, it's more composed than you'd expect. Firm but not harsh, wide but not floaty. You can daily drive it, but it's happiest when there's dust in the air and the trail ahead is rough. The only sticking point? Price. You're well into full-size territory once it's optioned out, but what you're buying isn't bulk. It's precision, a high-speed off-roader in a smaller package. The Ranger Raptor isn't trying to be the loudest. It's built to go fast, take damage, and stay planted while doing it. Line these four trucks up and the differences are obvious. Between the F-150, the F-150 Raptor, the Ranger, and the Ranger Raptor, you're not choosing between good and bad. You're choosing between types of capability. The standard F-150 is still the default for a reason. It tows the most, it carries the most, it gives you the most options. If you need to haul heavy, travel far, or just want to be surrounded by thick steel and torque, the F-150 gets it done without blinking. It's big, but it doesn't feel dumb or sloppy anymore. And for buyers who work their trucks hard or load them up every weekend, that extra size earns its keep. The Ranger is the smarter pick for everything else. Smaller, cheaper, easier to live with, but still very much a real truck. You can daily drive it without stress, still tow a trailer, still go off-road, and you'll burn less gas doing it. If you don't need full-size numbers, the Ranger makes more sense than most people expect, especially for city dwellers or first-time truck owners who want real function without the footprint. Then there are the Raptors. The F-150 Raptor is a riot. Loud, wide, brutal. It's a toy and a weapon at the same time. There's nothing subtle about it, but it's also massive, and unless you're using it for the kind of high-speed off-road driving it was made for, you're carrying around a whole lot of capability you'll never use. That doesn't make it bad, just very specific. It's built for Baja. If your commute looks more like a quarry than a highway, go for it. The Ranger Raptor is different. Same intent, less bulk. It gives you real off-road tech, real performance, and none of the overkill. It's lighter, sharper, more agile. And it fits places the F-150 never could. It's not trying to be a monster, it's just fast, durable, and planted. And if you're serious about dirt but don't want to drive a warehouse every day, this is the one that makes the most sense. So here's the breakdown. Need to tow, haul, or carry a crew? Get the F-150. Need to commute, park, or live normal life with a truck? The Ranger's your guy. Want a trophy truck on pavement? F-150 Raptor. Want that same chaos in a size you can actually live with? Ranger Raptor. Ford didn't build one best truck, they built 4 tools, and what matters is what you're actually going to do with them.